friends, strangers, internet. My name is Emily. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. I am back today to chit chat and get ready with y'all. Today's video, I want to talk about the benefits, the experiences of having to wait on making purchases, particularly makeup purchases. Yeah, we're gonna talk about, I guess, some of the ways I reframe being broke and being far less accessible to releases in ways that are perhaps help my brain feel better about things. If that sounds good to you, if you like colorful makeup, if you like bitches with lots of opinions, or you just like cute fat babes, I would love for you to subscribe and let's jump into whatever makeup look I decide to create today. This is one of those topics that's just been kind of floating in my head. You know, there's a million ways I could talk about it. There's a million ways I could frame it, but like the reality is that these are things that that being broke, being unemployed or underemployed for a lot of my adult life, my recent adult life, and for the last couple of years being far less accessible to releases. Like, these are just some of the things that I've learned or picked up over that time. First of all, I wanted to say this. Something that I have talked to my dear friend Audra a lot about, something that we've talked a lot about. I know that they have mentioned it on their channel before, and I feel like I have as well. The culture of like the low buy, the no buy, that whole world when you are broke always just feels odd to me, because the reality is that, like, besides a lot of my own personal realities about like low buy and no buys and how they don't work for me because diet culture brainwashing that I'm still trying to get rid of, separate myself from, all of that, like, besides that, and besides the fact that like that's not the kind of video making that I want to do anyway, a lot of the times where I felt pulled to be like, oh, this is a low buy, it's just me not having money for makeup. You know, marketing it that way just felt weird. And because it is marketing. I mean, it's marketing to my own brain, but it's marketing to the world as like a creator. This is not about low buys and no buys, but I just felt like that framework might be helpful to hear, because some of what I talk about probably is gonna sound like I'm just trying to reframe, you know, what I just said, being broke. And it kind of is. Like, in this world that we are living in, whether you're talking about makeup or other things, like, I think that there's a lot of that instant gratification kind of cycle that goes on, and I am not criticizing that. I am a neurodivergent person. I soothe shop. A lot of the people in my life do that. I'm not like insulting that or taking away from that. I also think that the cycle of just like looking for the newest thing does do some funky things to our brains. It's not that I'm critiquing wanting more stuff or wanting new things, because I understand the way that, like, in terms of our brains, how important that can be, and I am not at all diminishing that. But over the last 2 years especially, for so many different reasons, my access to makeup has been quite a bit limited. As I'm like looking at the products in my collection, and as I'm looking at new makeup I might want to bring into my collection or new to me, it's just been a really interesting thing. And I do find that looking at my collection, having a critical eye, is an interesting process for me. It's not always what I want to do. It's not always what I want to talk about. It's not always like what is good for me mentally, but you know, today it is. One of the reasons I've been thinking about it is that I'm working on a video that is either going to be out before this one or after this one. Like, they're going to be in pretty close succession, I think, but I'm working on kind of like a comparison review video for some things that are newer in my collection. But the things that are all kind of like newer to me are still things that I have been looking at and lusting over for a long time. It's interesting to actually get those products in my hands and see, you know, what my perception of them is or was versus how they actually perform. And for me, one of the best parts about waiting and not just buying something right at launch is that, I mean, I am a nerd. I'm a makeup nerd in particular. I like researching. I like hearing people's stories, listening to them, listening and watching applications, even if their words aren't saying everything or...
Okay, and we are bored, so please get to the point.
Getting to see people experience it over a period of time. If you are the first person to get these Kaleidos blushes, if you're getting it in PR, like I realize that a lot of people, you know, get frustrated by the PR process because PR gets, you know, quite often sent to big names, and those bigger names really get so much product that they're not going back to things over and over and over again. But for me and the creators and makeup lovers that I follow, a lot of times they are going back to things. And if they aren't going back to things, it's also kind of an indicator to me. If you are, you know, somebody that is big enough that you're regularly getting PR, but not so big that you're just like you're not a new release account, when you do or don't reach for something over and over again, I can kind of get a sense of things. I'm also very active in, you know, different makeup spaces. I can watch people give advice about a product or give shopping recommendations repeatedly over time and see different people experience product, even if they're not buying the same colors I would buy. Like if they're already buying formulas I was interested in. I take time because I love makeup. And so I'm curious about releases, even if I'm not buying them. Because of those reasons, sometimes that waiting, look, I am not trying to make this a sexual innuendo, but might happen, we might get there. Sometimes the waiting is worth it. Sometimes it is.
You naughty, naughty. You teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
An obvious, or what feels kind of obvious side effect of waiting is that I might not buy the product in the end. I might yearn after something for months, and then over time, over watching and looking and observing, and how many different ways can I say, watching, after, you know, seeing people work with something, seeing people play with a product, seeing different looks with the products, it might finally like kind of snap out of my brain. And then I'm like, yeah, that's pretty, but it's not for me. Time often is the vehicle, I guess that's the word for it. It is often the vehicle for giving me the space to move on. That sounds kind of deep. I mean, that is kind of true about, you know, life too. But I can get more of those feelings of like, yeah, that's pretty. I understand why it's popular. I understand why people are into it, but I don't need it. And that is a really nice feeling. I feel like for a very long time, I have been a very critical consumer, buyer, viewer person about makeup. That's who I am, very much so. But it doesn't mean I don't get caught up in the hype cycles. You know, things that I might have waited on and I didn't buy, I might still want them. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person or that I'm like beyond wanting things. At the same time, a lot of the times I can kind of move on from it. And it's not a matter of filling that want with something else. I mean, that does happen. That does happen. But a lot of times it's just realizing like, yeah, I'm okay with that. And then the reason why, like, beyond the not buying of it all, a lot of times now when I have, by force or by choice, had to wait on things, a lot of times by the time I get them, they perform the way that I have seen them perform. It's not that it's not unexpected. There's still joy there. There's still joy and discovery, but it's more like usually by the time I have gotten a product, months or years, I'll say a year. I'm not often buying super old releases because I also have feelings about that. But it's that, like, I have seen people kind of work through a lot of the bumps and the bugs, and I've seen people work with the product in a happy way and a frustrated way and all these different ways. I'm not saying that like I go into it knowing exactly what to do and I'm just brilliant, but it's that I feel like it almost like helps me manage my expectations, because I've kind of watched cycles of reviews and applications and different looks, and sometimes I'm also watching for like different colors, different textures to come out from that line, like the Danessa Myricks flakes. One of the more recent things that I have in my collection is one of the strobe gel flakes. I watched that kind of like cycle through the beauty space, and people, rightfully so, you know, have their issues with it. I've seen applications that are challenging, or they're just not as like pretty as maybe you wanted them to be. And for me, I watched those reviews, and for a very long time I was like, I don't ever want that. Because I bought pressed flakies before, I've gotten loose flakies as like a gift with purchase. I hated the way pressed flakies looked in my eyes. Terrible texture. Oh, me and my hooded eyes were not made for that. Over time, I saw friends and acquaintances buying them or receiving them in PR, and I saw them in use in ways that, in my opinion, initial marketing of it wasn't showing. For so long, I was like, absolutely not. I have no interest in those. I kind of understand why they exist, but I don't want them. Nope. And after seeing, as I said, a friend and other acquaintances work with them, and being able to talk to one of my friends about colors they recommend, and really kind of looking at those looks and saying, I see how I would work with that, and I also see how I wouldn't work with it. For me, that waiting was really good for me. I'm happy with my one. I might buy more, but I also know that if I buy more, there's a chance that like they might dry out before I use them, or any number of things. But I've kind of sat with those negatives and accepted them before buying it. And I just think that the hype cycle purposefully, very purposefully, does not give us the space to think on things. That is what it's made to do. It's made to get us wanting something and not really questioning anything else. I'm not saying I've never bought something on the hype cycle, because I absolutely have. I've absolutely bought things on launch. I've absolutely loved things I've bought on launch, and then I've absolutely not loved things that I've bought on launch. There is a level to the hype cycle that really frustrates me, and that this video might already be up. I'm gonna do a makeup red flags video and we're gonna talk about that. I don't like that cycle. I think that it's a frustrating cycle to be on, and I think it's very, very detrimental to us as consumers. And obviously that's kind of the point of it. That's the point of capitalism, is to keep us in this hamster wheel. I also think that there is, like, I think part of that hype cycle is also kind of like wanting to be one of the cool kids. That's how it very much feels for me when I'm seeing these things. People wanting to be one of the cool kids. I know that feeling and that desire, and I still get those feelings, but also I am so far out of the realm of like the cool kids within the beauty space and otherwise. I'm trying to get more comfortable with just really embracing that fact. Just embracing that. It's not easy because still the desire exists. So like I do think that there is a level of like wanting to be a cool kid that also keeps us in the hype cycle. Because if you are like one of the first people to maybe own the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette, like, it is a big deal. Or it feels like a big deal. I want to clarify that. It feels like a big deal when the reality is that it's just makeup. So much of this has been figuring out, am I chasing the cool kids, or do I actually really want that product? Am I chasing the cool kids, or does this release excite me? My perspective on this about like the waiting game, having to wait. For me, it's been a combination of having to wait because I don't have the money at that moment to buy it. A lot of times it's been because this company doesn't ship to me, so either I'm gonna ship it to a PO box and pick it up at a much later date, or I'm waiting to see if it comes to a different retailer, things like that. Like, there's a whole mix of reasons why I'm not buying at launch. One of the reasons is not simply just, oh, because I already own it. I mean, yes, I am not actively looking to duplicate my collection. At the same time, I love what I love, and I don't really care if I have multiples to a certain degree. I don't want to just actively buy dupes to buy dupes. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that, like, just because I have a sparkly pink highlighter doesn't mean I'm not going to indulge in a different sparkly pink highlighter from a different brand. But I can take that time to figure out if that pink highlighter is something I actually want, or am I just wanting it because it's a new release? It's a brand I love, or it's a brand I haven't tried yet and I'm really itching to try something from them, or what exactly is it? It's just been an interesting time because I am not a not shopping person. I'm not a not shopping channel. I'm not a not shopping person. But I also think that taking a moment to sit with a thing is not a bad thing. I have been the guinea pig in terms of buying from a newer indie brand to me, or buying a new release from a brand that maybe I'm not super familiar with, but I was drawn in. I've been the guinea pig, and I don't like it. I have bought things and then been like, no. Why was this hyped up again? Oh, right, because like 10 people had it in PR and nobody else did. And so we were hyping up something that we didn't actually know. Yeah, I hate that. I hate it. So whether it's a, new palette that is from an indie brand, or it's a new lipstick formula, like I don't like being the guinea pig. And it's not that I'm not willing to buy from new brands or new formulas, because I am, but I'm a research person. I want to hear people's experiences. I want to see a variety of swatches, because swatches don't tell the whole story, but for me and my makeup experience, swatches tell me a lot. And so when I'm only seeing swatches from a handful of people who get PR on the regular, and I've kind of sussed out some of their swatch photo techniques and things like that, that's not enough for me. I need more information. And I love indie makeup, but I also kind of want to call out these practices because I find it pretty fucked up. And I think that we should have more information before making a decision, especially an expensive, what is the word I'm trying to think of? But for an expensive, unnecessary purchase, I think we as the consumer should have more information. And so for me, I have actively, and due to the state of my life, have decided to listen to that part of my brain. Instead of just sitting here and saying, we deserve to have this information, and then still indulging, I was like, no, I want to listen to that part of my brain and actually honor that and give myself the space to see what the reviews are like, see what people are saying, and then make a decision from there. And not everybody has to do that. I mean, y'all that are buying it at launch and then talking about it online, wherever you are, I appreciate you for that. It's why I'm, able to make the purchases when I make them and feel much more informed about them. But at the same time, I think we should all be in a place to have more information, to be given more information about a product. It's just been an interesting couple of years. It is hard not being a part of the cool kids in that way. Even before my big move, a lot of times I just wasn't able to because of money. And so it's not like this is a new feeling for me. So I don't know, it's just been an interesting time not being able to buy as much. But I think this was one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about this. At the same time, there are lots of things that I would like to own that I don't own yet. And the yearning is real. But I also think it's so interesting. There are so many products that I have picked up in the recent past, and even before this, even back in 2021, I would say, where I felt like I knew so much about the product before getting it in a positive way. When I got Glow Lust, did I love it? Yes. Was it a year plus, I feel like, after it came out? Yeah. Did it make me happy? Absolutely. The thing that was nice is that I had learned a decent amount about the product to the point that I felt like I had a decent amount of knowledge in how I wanted to use it when I first got it, and kind of what to expect on those first applications. But I also wasn't there was still joy to it. There was still joy because it was still a discovery process once I actually had it in my hands. And that was really cool. Being oh, I feel comfortable with this. I kind of know what I got myself into. But then once I finally had it, I still had this moment of fuck yeah, I made a good decision. It's really nice because I feel like I'm able to go into these purchases with a lot of knowledge and a lot of kind of anecdotal evidence, but then I still get to experience all the joy of using this product for the first time, for the second time, for the 10th time. I think the main reason why I felt the need to talk about this, besides that I just wanted to, it's that cool kid feeling where I definitely felt pressure to spend money on things. And it's not even oh, maybe I didn't have the money. I mean, maybe I didn't have the money, but also, did I actually want the thing? Or did I just want to be a person that had the thing? Realizing that I was perhaps chasing some cool kid BS versus actually chasing products that I really wanted.
My mascara distracted me, but I swear I make a point.
Oh my god, I forget how wet this mascara is when you first get it. And here's the thing. You can be a cool girl all you want with or without new shit. So if you really want that thing, fucking buy it. But also, if you're chasing, feeling, a status, maybe not. If you're chasing something and you especially don't have the money, don't have the access for it, that doesn't make you worse off or better off than anyone else. I just think it's helpful sometimes to take a step back and question, where is this feeling coming from? And why am I feeling it? And maybe you're gonna end up with something you absolutely fucking love, like how I waited for the Night Flower palette and the some of the multi-creams from Lethal, and I fucking love them. Or you might buy something and realize, I don't actually like this. For me, in my experience, I have found that waiting, watching, and looking at videos, photos, written reviews of products, talking to my beauty community, talking to my friends, can be so helpful. I am not policing your shopping or my shopping or anyone's pocketbook, but I am trying to buy things that are actually gonna bring me joy and not just things that I feel like I should like. We're not doing that, not in 2023. Now, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed my perspective, I would love for you to give the video a thumbs up. I want to thank my patrons and my channel members for keeping this channel afloat. If anyone watching is feeling like you would like to see a little more of me, support me a little more, those are great ways to do so. The membership or Patreon, whatever is easier for you. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about anything I talked about today. Or if you just want to fawn over this funky fun makeup look, I'm also taking compliments. Thank you so much for being here. Most importantly, take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday, because you're worth it. Bye, friends.